This is the show where we ham along together. Each week, we pick something new to learn, cold, or something old to investigate. Amateur radio is the hobby of 1,000 hobbies. There are so many different aspects to explore. Grab your gear and let's do this. Howdy, everybody. This is Steve KM9G, and tonight Jim and I are going to talk about the DigitalTOADs setup that Jim has been working very hard on. Jim, how are you, my friend?
Great. Just awesome. I felt like going the full Molson tonight, or maybe channeling a little bit of Steve Jobs.
Just have to move the camera up a little higher.
No, it's okay. Then you'd see how round this part is. Right now, it just looks like I'm Studley. So
you're right. It looks
right.
It looks like you're Studley.
That's right.
So I understand that there's going to be a little bit of a delay in the beginning of the show. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the concept is that is trying to happen and some of the hardware that we have to put together, and then how we're going to actually connect all this stuff, and then maybe we'll do some QSOs when we get towards the end of it. So there are at least 4,000 different ways to talk on amateur radio, and the three of those that we're going to focus on tonight are DMR, D-Star, and Yaesu System Fusion, or aka C4FM. Those are different digital modes that are encoded inside of the radio. When you speak in the radio, they get encoded into a digital transmission. Then they get sent over the wire via FM, over the airwaves via FM. They're received on the far end. They're unencoded. They're decoded in the radio, and then they're spit back out into your ears as human understandable, hopefully, audio. There's a way, because it's converted into some type of digital medium, that we can then take that bit stream and tunnel it through the internet. And because we can get it into the internet, then we can do things like what we're going to do here tonight, where we can translate from one mode to another to another. So we're going to be able to talk from DMR to Fusion, from DMR to D-Star, from D-Star to Fusion, from Fusion to D-Star, from D-Star to DMR, all these different directions, all because Jim's put a lot of effort into, and channel supporters of this channel and of Coffee and Ham Radios have put a lot of support into making this happen. We actually had to get a couple of pieces of hardware from Northwest Digital Radio. They're called Thumb DV, is that right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So these are two little USB sticks that are sitting somewhere nearby Jim right now.
They're in a secure, undisclosed location.
In Alabama, in fashionable East Lala.
That's right.
That's right. So we've got a whole bunch of hardware going on here. We've got a whole bunch of stuff on the internet. We've got a whole bunch of software at play. And just to give you an idea how complex this is, I developed a matrix.
Oh my gosh. The red.
And right now, those are all red, and we're going to turn them all green before the show is over. And what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that DMR works first, and we're going to turn that one green, and then we're going to make sure that Fusion works, and we're going to turn that one green, and we're going to make sure that D-Star works, we're going to turn that one green, and then we're going to try getting DMR to talk to Fusion and turn that green, and then DMR to talk to D-Star and turn that green, and so on. I don't need to explain all of it to you. You guys are extremely intelligent people, and you are picking up on everything. Right, Jim?
Yes. I do want to say one thing. When I started this little project, I had messaged Steve one morning, I don't know, probably when I was supposed to be working, and said, "Hey, man, why don't we have a Toads multi-mode reflector?" And Steve said, "Oh, that's cool. Make it happen, Captain." And that was like, I don't know, 3 months ago, I think. And to be fair, it hasn't been a 3-month project. It has taken 3 months because there were several weeks where my frustration level peaked. P-E-A-K, peaked. And I was like, I've got to step away from this. This used to be dark. It was all brown when I started this project. Now you can see that it's not.
It's not. That's why I shaved mine off. Mine went gray a long time ago. I can't
Steve
do it
gave
anymore.
up on it. He just, but see, my wife has not actually seen my real face in almost 30 years. And I'm trying to hold on to this one. So,
You might be afraid she doesn't like you.
Right. All of a sudden she's going to go, "What the hell? Get out of here."
Okay, so tell us how the DMR setup works. Like 10,000 feet.
The DMR setup is done through, there's a program running on a Raspberry Pi. Let me turn some stuff off here so it doesn't start talking. There's a program running on a Raspberry Pi virtual machine on DigitalOcean. And that's where most of this is occurring is in the cloud. IT guys like to say in the cloud. That means for you non-IT people, it's a server on the internet somewhere else, not here.
Somebody else's computer.
Right, someone else's computer. So that software running does DMR. And that has been probably the most weirdest part of this to actually get and stay working. So I don't know. What else do you want to know? I can rattle on for a minute. I don't want
Do
to go.
we have a name for that software? I forget what it's called.
Yeah, this is XLXD.
Okay. And XLX is a D-Star term.
Yeah, this gets real complicated real fast, and I cannot explain all of it. XLX is the program name technically. D on a Unix program, which this is Unix since it's running on a Raspberry Pi, means it's a daemon or it's a process that runs in the background all the time. DAEMON is pronounced demon. If you say Damon, I hate you and don't ever talk to me.
Demon.
They decided to spell it the old English way back in the 60s and 70s.
There's a
when
lot
they
of
invented
neckbeards in Unix, yes.
Yes, there are some serious, and there's probably some right now going, it's Damon, man, DAE. No, it's not, hippie.
Actually.
Yeah, that guy. So anyway, so this software, XLXD, is the actual program that's running, and it understands multiple protocols. And so XLX is kind of a catch-all phrase. I am probably getting a lot of this wrong because I did not study the history of all this stuff. XLX is the name for a reflector, but it also denotes a series of multi-mode protocols.
And I think a lot of the confusion that we get with all of these digital modes, maybe except for Fusion, I don't know because I don't have any Fusion radios, is that this stuff all organically grew out of business radio, where it made a lot of sense to have a code plug that your IT department maintained, and then you walk in and go, my radio's broke, and they go, here's another one, and hand it to you, and then your radio works again. And that kind of thing makes a lot of sense in that scenario. But then when you start doing what we're doing, where we've got Brandmeister and we've got Texas DMR and we've got, and then inside of each of those, you've got another 100,000 rooms. And inside of that, you've got 300,000 participants. It is what it is.
Yeah. So. And DMR specifically was migrated from business radio. It was never anything but business radio originally. NXDN, which is the first cousin of DMR, is still primarily business radio, but you can actually use NXDN for ham as well. P25, also kind of a first cousin once removed, is similar to DMR, and it's mostly used on the public safety side. They've moved to P25 phase 2. That's a whole nother thing, but they're all real close to DMR. Motorola calls it Moto Turbo.
Moto Turbo, and it's TERBO because Motorola.
Yeah, because they're special. But they're all basically DMR, real close to each other to DMR. But DMR was a commercial product, and there's still tons of commercial DMR applications in use today. So we've had to kind of migrate it for amateur use. D-Star was developed by the JARL, the Japan Amateur Radio League, specifically for amateur radio. And I think System Fusion was developed by Yaesu for amateur radio.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've never seen anything to indicate otherwise. And it makes sense that
Fusion makes sense, or the creation makes sense?
Well, the creation really, because ICOM did their thing, or JARL did their thing, and ICOM embraced D-Star. And then, Yaesu's like, well, we got to have something too, so we'll make Fusion. So
excellent. So I guess we start out, let's add this back. I guess we start out by trying to turn one of these things green. Let's turn the DMR one green, Jim. And we're going to talk to Toads Digital. And Toads Digital right now is using Jim's call sign. That will change here very soon to be using the something actual different. Toads call sign. But we have to get a Toads call sign first. So last call list. And I can key up and I can say Kilo Mike 9 Golf. Connecting onto the Toads Reflector on DMR. So
QSL 5x5.
All right, so that works in both directions through the Toads Reflector. I'm going to go ahead and turn that one green, and that's like one down. Oh, that's a lovely shade of green.
It's beautiful, man.
It almost looks like it's not there compared to how red those reds are. Let's see if I can get a better shade of green.
Go for a forest green, Steve. There you go, laddie.
Yeah, there you
It's
go.
a good
Now
Irish
there's some
green.
contrast there. And Jeff's listening in already. So why is he 5x5?
Because that's what the military says, Jeff. This 5x9 hippie stuff is some ham stuff, and I'm still ex-military, so
hippy dippy ham stuff.
Loud and clear. He's loud and clear.
Loud 5, clear 5, 5x5. Loud by
5
clear.
by 5.
Sure. Yeah, they're all just made up numbers on a piece of paper in some file cabinet somewhere anyway. So Fusion.
And let me interrupt just a second. And Jeff also mentioned apparently that he says Damon. So, you know.
So Jeff has lost all credibility. Okay.
He's dead to me.
I hear you.
Right now, he's dead to me.
So we were going to ask Jeff if he had a Fusion radio, but I guess not. Who's got a Fusion radio besides you? Because I don't have one. I might need to get one now that we're doing all this stuff.
Well, you've got DMR, right? So
I do. I can hear you, but I can't confirm that that's like step 2. I just want to confirm the first column, and we want to confirm that Fusion to Fusion works.
Fusion to Fusion. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me turn down the volume on my DMR.
Jeff says in his car.
KN4YCD calling Toads digital on Fusion only.
And oops, it actually went through. I guess we can clear this one, and we'll wind up clearing a bunch of these as we go through.
Kind of deductive reasoning there.
Somebody came back to you. Who was that?
I apparently didn't have the volume up very loud. Hang on. Let's try that one more time. KN4YCD station calling. Please repeat.
KN4YCD station calling. Please repeat.
November 7, Bravo, Bravo, uniform. Your volume is extremely low, but I did copy you.
I think I'm giving it all 5 watts, but I'll see what I can do.
All right, perfect. He came up.
Yeah, that worked out great that time. QSL, 5x9.
And he is on a, confirm with him that he's on a Fusion radio, just to be pedantic, like hams like to be.
And you are talking on a Fusion radio, is that correct?
Awesome.
N7
that sounds
Bravo,
like the
Bravo uniform, QSL. Thank you, man. 73.
That sounds like the kerchunk that you hear on Stargate, too.
There's a lot of things back here behind the green screen that you people can't see. Some of them you don't need to know about, okay? Because my old lords, I mean, nothing, never mind.
Nothing. Okay. So next up, we've got D-Star. And I have a D-Star radio, but I'm going to kind of cheat and go through the gateway because that's the only way I can get to it without modifying my Pi Star. And I don't feel like doing that. So I'm going to say, let me know when you're ready.
All right. Well, what do you want on? D-Star? I've got all 3 radios on. So
this is D-Star to D-Star.
Okay. Let me turn off and volumes down. Okay. Hit it.
This is Kilo Mike 9 Golf on XLX 546A.
Started out good, and it kind of went weird. KM9G, KN4YCD, 5x9.
Yeah, same thing for you. Yeah. Okay, so that worked. Let's convert that over to green. So now we've got all 3 modes working for all 3 versions of the Toads reflector rooms, whatever you want to call those. There's weird terminology for all this. My radio just talked to me.
Yeah, mine keyed up.
And so the next thing that we would need to do is confirm that DMR is talking to D-Star. So I have my DMR radio here. KM9G testing DMR to D-Star. Perfect. All right. So that works. And then We need to do
Jeff's-
fusion to DMR, which you and I can do.
Fusion to DMR. Okay. There's many knobs I'm trying to deal with here at one time.
You're a very good knob twiddler.
Never mind. KN4YCD, KM9G.
This is KM9G replying over DMR.
KM9G replying over DMR.
And show us that
5 by
radio.
5, brother.
Show us that radio.
This one? This is an FT. This is an FT5D. Come on,
Okay.
camera, focus. Hang on. What I was trying to do. There we go. Go ahead and let me turn down the volumes. Go ahead and key up, Steve.
Kilo Mike 9 Golf, DMR to fusion.
So,
Yep.
and I don't know if it's something with this radio, but this doesn't really show me all the time who's talking. The DMR radio and the D-Star radio do. It's kind of weird.
All right, so we got this one here, which is fusion on the left, talking to DMR in the middle. We'll make that one green. And then next up would be D-Star. Well, let's do this one here. Fusion to D-Star. So if you talk on your D-Star, I should be able to get it on my... You talk on your fusion, I should be able to get it on my D-Star. This is where it gets confusing. You're on fusion, I'm on D-Star.
Fusion. Yeah. KM9G from KN4YCD.
KM9G on D-Star XLX 546 Alpha.
Negative audio, Batman.
Checking audio again. I'm seeing modulation on my side, and I'm making some progress. There it goes.
Okay. Yeah, that worked.
All right, so we'll turn that one green. And we'll turn that one green like I meant to turn green. There we go. Can't turn something that's already green again. I mean, you can, but...
Make it greener?
Okay, so technically we just did fusion to D-Star, which means that D-Star to fusion works because you replied back. So we'll mark that one as green.
Right.
Ergo. And then the only thing left is D-Star to DMR, and we've lit the board.
Start DMR. Please stand by.
So you will be D-Star and I will be DMR?
Right. Yeah.
Awesome.
KM9G from KN4YCD.
That was actually D-Star to D-Star. Do it again.
KM9G, KN4YCD.
It did not make the trip that time.
KM9G, KN4YCD.
Yeah, we're not making the trip now.
Let me see what I'm getting here.
You did come over on D-Star.
Well, I was talking on D-Star, so yay, that worked.
Yeah,
Oh,
D-Star to D-Star.
Are you on the right talk group? Because remember, I had the same problem.
Oh, you know what? You might be right. That might be
Probably.
totally my fault. KM9G.
for CDMA.
Collision.
Detect. Try it again. You go.
KM9G for KN4YCD.
Negative.
And John's here. Cross some reflectors as well as triple transcoding. That is correct. We're going
KM9G
crazy.
from KN4YCD. Hey, John.
And he's right. With all these digital modes, you need to key up for a second and wait, and then start talking, and then stop talking and wait, and then unkey. And that's because you're trying to connect all of the magic pixies in the air, plus all of the magic pixies in your hotspot, plus all the magic pixies on the internet, and then all the magic pixies on my side. Lots of pixies need to be
KN4YCD echo
talked.
test. Okay, that worked.
All log. I got you. I might still be doing it wrong on my end.
Okay. I'm just double
What
checking a couple things here.
what is your ID again? 31235
315 2157.
315 2157. All right, this is KM9G using the group call. Hey, it was me.
Yeah, actually, that was on my DMR radio. Let me turn it off. But you did light up the D-Star one. Go ahead, try it again.
KM9G on the Toads Talk group, aka Jim's ID.
Yeah, it's kicking the radio, but we're not getting the magic. Let me try it back your way. KM9G from KN4YCD.
KM9G for KN4YCD.
It kicks it. I mean, it's receiving something, but
the Pixies are angry. Shooter ready standby is correct. So we're supposed to be testing your D-Star to my DMR. You go ahead and try it on your side.
KM9G, KN4YCD.
Yeah, you're not even keying up on my side.
Yeah, I would suspect that there has been a computer-related glitch in the matrix.
Okay.
Because that should be working. That was working. And no demo survives first contact.
Well, this is kind of the state of where we are. Something got angry. This is kind of the state of where we are with this setup right now. And unfortunately, this is also the state of the software. If you go out and try and look at some of the instructions, the manuals, the documentation that exists on this, you're gonna run into some of the frustration that we've run into as well. It is magic, because I don't think anybody understands it. MC Podcast is complaining in the chat, and right now we're going over the state of the DigitalTOADs multi-mode reflector system, which happens to encompass the modes that we're demoing right now, and that's why we left all the other ones out. If you'd like to join us on Toads and help us out with the other modes you'd like to add, we'd be happy to do it. M17 is in the future, and I'm sure Jim wants to get P25 on there because he's a P25 fanboy.
M17 sounds all great and everything, but there's like no radios for that.
There is
not any commercial
firmware
ones.
No, there's a firmware that you can load. I forget what the radio is, but there's a firmware that you can load onto an existing HT and get M17 on a handheld.
Which HT? Like one of the DMR ones, probably.
I think it's the OpenGD 77 models.
That would, yeah. You know what? I think I did see that. I think you're right on that. That's right.
And we do have All-Star. Jim's working on All-Star right now. I have an All-Star node here. It's just, this is the current state of affairs.
There's like literally.
Yeah, TYT M380. Andy's correct. That sounds right.
Tens of web pages of here are the instructions. But I'm going to tell you, at the root of this, when you have a configuration file that after Googling, you find only 2 pages of Google results that name that configuration file, and not one of them is documentation for exactly what they mean for a couple of the parameters, that should give you an idea of what this is and how it works. And it's things that if I knew what the answer was supposed to be, I could put it in there because I have the answers. They're all in here. But I don't understand their file, and I haven't found documentation for some of it. It's really frustrating. I'm restarting some things here. I can't rant and restart at the same time. Sorry.
You need to up your rant game.
Okay, let's see. KN4YCD testing on Toads Digital. Negative Batman.
Nope, I just got DMR. So what are you working on over there? Are you restarting the service?
Yeah, there's 2 things for D-Star. So with D-Star, The only way to go from D star to other things is with the hardware pieces that Steve mentioned. And so there's a different program for those dongles, and those are not co-located in the cloud. Those are located on my dining table at the moment, where I repurposed a Raspberry Pi that I was using with Octopi to set up a 3D printer. So it's up and it's working, and that was what I just restarted. So now I'm going to go log on to Cloud Server and kick that in the pants and see if that fixes our problem, because this was all working a little while ago. And this is the problem we've had. The software, in my opinion, is not very robust, and it just randomly dies, and you have to go restart it, and then sunshine and puppies after that. It's very aggravating.
So Andy's asking about if you're a member of the M17 Discord. I am a member of the M17 Discord, and we're going to have Ed coming on the show here to do an M17 demonstration. We're just waiting for schedules to align along with all the rest of the planets, and it has not been that easy. So this is Northwest Digital Radio's website. This is the Amateur Radio Thumb DV, and this is a device that you can use to speak DMR and D-Star, and I think it also does Fusion, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, without a radio. You just plug this into your USB on the go port, or you plug it into your PC and you pick up your computer and talk that way. No radio involved. So that should make some people angry.
That is the that uses the Blue DV software. I actually did a video on that dingus right there, and they work quite well. And since that thing costs about half the cost of a non-existent Raspberry Pi, you get Blue DV, which does not work on iOS as far as I understand. It does work on Android and Windows. It does not work on Mac. Although they say it does, it doesn't really natively work on Mac. You have to load a Windows VM.
All right. W4JMD has sent me a message, because DMR does messaging.
So you're getting one on key up.
That's DMR. Sorry, that's my D-Star radio. That's my 705.
That's your D-Star radio. Oh, now I saw me. KN4YCD to KM9G. Well, I don't understand what's going on. KN4YCD testing on DMR to D-Star.
Testing on DMR to D-Star.
That works.
I think we're having some latency with the D-Star transcoding, would be my guess. Because this looks like it's running okay. Fusion is the acid test as well. So let me Fusion.
So James is saying Rock Pi, Orange Pi, Raspberry Pi, all basically the same differences. They're all basically the same in that they're single board computers, and then they're all basically different because each one of them's trying to outcompete the other on some unique, weird feature that one has over the other.
So for example, I have a Rock Pi 4B, and you cannot just download any Raspbian distribution and stick it on there. It will not work. Hang on. KN4YCD testing all three modes simultaneously. So that's working. I don't see anything wrong here.
Yeah.
But I would suspect this is some sort of weird latency thing or something. I don't know.
Okay, so we just got a proof positive that D-Star is converting to DMR, and they rhyme in my head. That might be why I'm getting them confused also. So we are green across the board right now, and this is right now as of this stream while it is live, and this is subject to change momentarily because this is kind of the fragility of the situation. So we're just making some progress. Wanted to share with you guys how this is all working. And if you wanted to, Jim, you have your Pi-Star screen shared out. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So before we get into digging around in that, so the thing is right now, the piece of this that's a little complicated is the D-Star transcoding. And what that means is, and I've had this working for months. So DMR and YSF, they transcode. And other than some DMR weirdness that I still haven't 100% nailed down, that works pretty good. And we can run D-Star, and that's been working for months too. But that D-Star is in a room by himself, and he can't talk to the other two. So YSF and Fusion are over here, and they're chatting with each other. I can be on my Fusion radio chatting with Ron on DMR or Steve on DMR, whoever, and vice versa. Works great. The D-Star piece, I can be on my Kenwood talking to Steve, D-Star to D-Star, works fine. But until we got this transcode piece set up, the D-Star people couldn't hear or talk to the Fusion or DMR people. So now I have the transcode set up. It's bridging those three modes. And because I can't put USB sticks on a cloud server, I got to run them somewhere else. So right now they're on a Raspberry Pi. Literally, it's sitting on my dining room table that we never eat on, thankfully. Although I still get eye rolls from my wife.
She must be obeyed.
Right. And she knows where all the pew-pews and most of the money is at, too. So the plan...
So she can back it up, is what you're saying.
Right. That's right. So the plan is I'm going to move this Raspberry Pi where it'll be wired. Right now it's on Wi-Fi. You know, that's not optimal for performance. So I'll be moving it to a switch where it'll be directly wired in to my switch back here, which is a 16-port PoE ubiquity switch. But, and that will help a little bit. I mean, I could get a Cisco from work, but.
Lionel, you're absolutely right. She already dropped a tree on his shack. You better clean that dining room table off fast, son.
That's right. That's right. So that will help. And the problems that you're seeing with the D-Star is going to be related to those transcoders. The software's running and it's not complaining. And Steve and I've tested this 3 times and it was working fine. So I don't know.
And then we went to bed and woke up and it wasn't working again. And
Ham Bandit is the way this works.
Until all the companies get together, it's going to be complicated and have crappy audio. And that's truism number 1. Truism number 2 is that there's not a lot of dinero in this. There's not a lot of money to be had for people like you and me and Jim. Well, you and me to go in and start coding this stuff. Jim doesn't like programmers. And so as a result, it's hard to move it off the X. And this is kind of the state of where things are right now. It's great. It works. Like everything in the world, it's not a complaint, but like everything in the world, it could be better. That's the point of life, is to try and be better about things. So, you know, where we go from here is making improvements in the software. We can show you if I think we should do that. We've got time to do that.
What's that?
Bring up a terminal screen and just start showing some of the commands and some of the installs and that kind of thing. Because you'll see where the software is installed. And if you've ever used a Linux system before, you will instantly cringe. So,
okay. All right. Let's see. Share. Oh, I got to stop. Well, let's do this first, because I'll have to stop that and move windows around it.
Okay.
Let's do the PyStar part first, I guess.
Let's do it.
What do you want to talk about?
You shared it out, so I figured you had a agenda.
No, I didn't know where all we were going with this, my friend.
Okay. Cool. So you can use. I guess we'll start with PyStar since we're here. You can work with your PyStar and your DMR radio, or work with your PyStar and your D-Star radio, and connect to the TOADs network. So if you are on TOADs and you want to be on the TOADs voice radio system as opposed to the TOADs Discord chat room, voice chat room, you can do that with whatever radio you happen to have, as long as it's digital. And eventually, Jim's working on, Andy, thank you very much for the super sticker. That's fantastic. Jim is working on the All-Star connection, and will at some point get All-Star connected, at which point you can get on via All-Star with any FM radio. I have a very expensive All-Star node. It's my 705 connected to my Shari Pi hat, and with the price of the 705 and the price of the Pi 4, I might as well remortgage the house. But I got it all before prices went crazy.
Mrs. T.O. does not know the cost of that little operation, I'm sure.
No, but you'd be able to make it in with your Baofeng, and you'd also be able to make it in with your Echo Link on your cell phone.
And your Ham Shack hotline.
Oh, yeah, we're going to connect it to Ham Shack hotline. That would be cool.
Yes, we are.
And now that we've got all this stuff up and running, we're just that much closer to having a Toads net, and we'll probably do a Toads net on FM digital modes once a period. I don't know what the period is yet, and then an HF net once a period. Also, I don't know what that period is yet either, because we have to figure out net controllers and all that kind of jazz. But
Right.
all progress is good progress.
So
So,
when you're setting this up, Steve, I don't really know what we want to talk about here, so I'm just going to hit the highlights here.
go for it.
One thing that is super important, guys, if you've had a DMR before, and then we set up originally we started with a Fusion box, and so I told everybody you could turn this on and that would let you connect to Fusion. So what's important about you using your hotspot with the Toads stuff, you do not want this DMR to YSF stuff turned on your Pi-Star at home, because we're doing that for you with our setup here. It's doing the transcoding. So if you have YSF to DMR turned on, or DMR to YSF, either way, at your house with your Pi-Star, we're going to have what we call in the computer business non-specified results. So
Bugs.
Don't do that. If it hurts when you go like that, don't do that. So that's very important. And I know a couple of you had that on and it was causing all sorts of problems. And that may be part of the problems that we've had on our side. I don't really know. I can't prove it one way or the other. But what will happen is that will cause some looping, and we don't want looping. Looping is bad, because if we keep looping, some of the other systems that this ends up connecting to for interoperability get pissy with us, and they just block us until we start not looping again. So if you're going to connect to Toads, pick YSF, pick D-Star, pick DMR, but don't turn on the cross modes, because it will break stuff. Right now, Steve mentioned that we're using my DMR ID. So yes, a lot of times if the person, and I haven't nailed down exactly what the ifs and ands are on this, but a lot of times, even though someone else may be talking, it will show my DMR ID. I think that was Glenn. Glenn, was that just you? I didn't catch what it said on screen. So now that showed Glenn on my DMR radio. Hey, Glenn, key up again for me while I'm looking at this. Yeah, my last call was VK2HTV. So, there he goes.
My DMR radio locked up. The radio itself locked up.
Oh, and I see mine worked fine. I got him loud and clear on that. Cool.
So turn the volume knob.
Just an important safety tip.
Turn the volume knob. Nothing. Turn the channel knob. Nothing.
Wow.
Turn the.
That is.
Oh, finally, it caught up. It's not actually turning volume up.
I just did.
Yeah, fixed.
I'd give that a power cycle.
Yeah, that's what I did.
She seems untrustworthy. Somewhere, someone on QRZ is going, well, you got one of them BTEC radios there, boy.
It's a USA made radio.
That's right.
But it's a clone of a non-USA made
right.
radio. All right. Menu.
So what eventually, as soon as Steve and I get all this worked out, we're going to have a separate call sign we're using with our Toads digital network. So you will not see Jim in there. Yeah. You won't see my call information coming up. And I think the way it does it is on the DMR radios, if someone keys up from D-Star maybe or Fusion, it shows Jim's information. I'm not really sure how that, I don't know. It's doing some strange things that I haven't quite sussed out exactly how it decides what to do. Let's see. I guess that's probably, and if you're using Pi-Star.
Yeah, Glenn, you need to use it as a group, not a private call. You're correct.
Yes, it is a group call right now. That's correct. Group call. See here in, this is my Fusion Pi-Star. Right now, it's showing some IDs with a DMR number, which I can click and it will take me to a QRZ page and show me who that is, or radioid.net.
So Dusty, we haven't gotten that far yet. We will.
And then this is my own, but I don't know why it's showing my DMR ID. This is probably because I keyed up from my Fusion radio. KN4YCD test. See, that acted like that didn't go through that time. KN4YCD test 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. See, I haven't touched anything and now it stopped working.
Fragile.
Yeah. There's Glenn.
KM9G.
That worked. D-Star's
So what
still
is
acting
the
weird, but
what is the C4 FM room?
55295.
He's typed this stuff in so much it's just pure memory for him.
Right.
And then D-Star is XLX
XRF.
and the XRF 546 alpha.
Right.
And all of this stuff, the D-Star stuff works through terminal mode on your 705 or your 9700. Does the 5100 have a terminal mode?
I don't know, and I don't have a 5100 anymore, so I can't really tell you.
You don't?
Nope, sold it.
Jim changes radios like some people change socks.
I like new shiny things. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that's about it there, unless you got something else you wanted me to show them on.
All right, so this is where we are at with getting connected. Right now, you want to get connected to DMR 3152157 as a group. If you do it as a talk ID, a person ID, you will talk only to Jim. If you do it as a group ID, you'll talk to the group and we'll all hear you. Jim's happy with that either way because he won't know the difference, but the rest of us will not be part of the conversation and we'll feel left out.
Right.
C4 FM is 55295. I can only show you on the 6x2 because it's the only radio that I have. On the 6x2, I have mine programmed so that... Whoops.
Well, I shared it and then it...
There we go. I have mine programmed so that if I hold down the 0, it's going to ask me for a group ID, and then I type in 3152157 like so, and I key up, and now I'm in the group room, KM9G. And Jim heard me. And that's his Fusion radio. How would you set this up on Fusion?
On Fusion, so for the Pi-Star side or your radio side?
Yes, because I don't have either of those abilities to demonstrate.
Okay. Well, see, I've unshared. Let me reshare. Stand by. So Fusion is actually fairly straightforward, and that's the one I have up here. Chrome tab.
Hey, Glenn, you almost came through that time.
Now, see, you kicked every radio I had that time, but I'm still not getting anything out of the DMR or the D-Star radio.
See you later, Lionel.
Lionel, thanks for coming, man. All right. So, am I sharing? I guess I am. Okay.
You're sharing your Pi-Star.
Yeah. So, this is my Fusion Pi-Star. And I really recommend that if you want to use multiple modes, you use multiple Pi-Stars. I mean, if you have that kind of crazy cash or didn't wait until now to buy a Pi-Star. So, what you're going to do is, and mine's a little fancy because it's set up duplex on my Fusion one. I have a board with 2 antennas, so I can do it as a repeater. That's the only difference. But you tell it YSF, and then this is information it'll use to cross over, and this is probably why sometimes I see information and sometimes I don't. Even though this is Fusion, I have my DMR info in there. And the rest of this you should all know. And then down here, under the specific system Fusion configuration, you can, and it's broke. I know what that sound is. I think it just died.
Jim's having flashbacks.
KN4YCD test 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, she just that didn't key any radios. Oh man, I hate this software. So what you do is you'll tell it, you'll click this drop-down list and pick what group you want. Now they've updated this on the new PyStar software. You can click and search. This is new because they didn't used to have this. You had to scroll through this whole list. So just type toads, and there we are. And so you're going to select that. You can leave that off. It doesn't really matter. That is dependent for FT70Ds. Turn it on, turn it off. Depends on what radio you have. Neither of these are really going to matter for most things that I'm aware of. John Kruk could probably explain these two better than I can. The other thing to note is that a PyStar is not a Wires X device. So this is not a Wires X room. This is a YSF room. The only way you can make a Wires X room is to use Yaesu equipment to host it. So we're basically running, our stuff is on a Raspberry Pi in the cloud. So it's a YSF room. But anyway, you click it, tell it apply changes, and that kicks you into Fusion mode with those settings, and then you're connected to our room. If you decide you want to change rooms, you can come over here to admin, and right here it shows what I'm currently linked to. I can tell it to unlink. It verifies it down there that my YSF network is Toads. So if I decide I don't want to be linked to Toads, I can send an unlink command. And I'm doing this all through the PyStar. And now I'm not linked. So I can come in here, and that's my default one, or I could pick something else. And I'm not going to, because I don't want to get into somebody that's yakking nonstop.
Pi. That's right, Gordon.
But you change that there. When you configure your PyStar, and I've got videos on this, Steve has videos, Ape has videos, but you're going to come over here to
Chuck
configuration.
doesn't.
You're going to go to, but who doesn't?
Chuck.
Oh, no, Chuck does not. Chuck has a ton of antenna builds because Chuck is the builder, but this is not Chuck's channel.
KH6QM. I just saw you key up on D-Star via DMR.
So you can go to config, go to expert, and go to YSF gateway, and you should be able to, somewhere in here, I don't remember because it's been a while since I said it. You can set your default somewhere.
James wants to know the cheapest Pi to buy and experiment with, and I'm going to say there's two recommendations for that. First one is probably going to be the Pi 400 because of availability reasons.
Yep.
And the second one's going to be
now.
the Pi 02W from Chicago Electric, and it's going to be, what is it, like $49?
$45.99, and you can buy one per month.
And that's because there is currently a shortage in the
Right.
world of Pi related type stuff. So, but the PyStar stuff runs on a Pi Zero, which is a single core processor, 700 megahertz, 512 megabytes of RAM device. So it doesn't require a lot of power. So if you find an old Pi at a yard sale or at a unaware ham fest where they don't know that Pis are going for crazy money, just snag it up. You'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
and in order to do this over the air without a hotspot, you would need to have a repeater in your area that allows you to add Toads to its group. So you might need to have some friends over on the ham club.
right. There's actually a couple options that Steve probably didn't think about. So the 02W, not Pi Zero, the 02W is from Chicago Electronic Distributors, and it's chicagodist.com is the link. If you want to put that in the chat, Steve, but
sure,
they will sell you one for $45.99 and a kit, and it's $45.99, limit one per user per month. Like, I can go back and order another one now. I was hoping when I found out they had them that I ordered it in May, but I did not order it in June. So dang it, I have to wait now till July. But for $45.99, you get a Pi 02W. A Pi 02W is better than a Pi 3B as far as processing power, or equivalent at least. It is nowhere near a Pi Zero. It's an original one. It's way better than that. Forget about the 2s. It's like Pi 3B speed, which, like Steve said, is absolutely adequate to run a hotspot of any kind. Absolutely.
You will have some pain in setting it up on a
A little
zero,
bit.
only because you're personally impatient. And I'm not calling you out. I mean, if you're not impatient, then you're dead,
Right.
because it is that slow. But it once you get it all set up and running, it does the thing fantastically, because
Not on the
thing it's doing
02W, man. No, sir.
isn't that bad. No, I'm talking about the Pi Zero.
Oh, yeah. The Pi Zero is, can be a little painful.
But it does the thing. So I mean, it's absolutely fine once you get it set up. It's just, put your favorite YouTube show on,
Right.
build the Pi Star in the background. You'll be fine.
The other option, and Steve mentioned it earlier, but buy one of those dongles.
The Thumb DV from
the Thumb
Northwest
DV.
Digital Radio. No
Yes.
radio required.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. You can use it as a hotspot with your radio, or you can just use it with your computer and not even fool with the radio.
I haven't done it yet. Don't take my word for it, but I think you can plug it directly into the 705 and use it for terminal mode. I know you can do that with a Raspberry Pi and Pi Star software.
Then it
What's
should
that
work.
guy's name? Who did it?
Is that Chris MM0?
2E0 UKH. I'm sure Chris has done it.
Oh, is that Tech Minds?
The guy that copied Abe's thumbnail.
Oh,
I was trying not to say that.
Oh, that's Andreas.
Andreas.
I can't remember his
Andreas.
call sign.
Yeah. M0FXB. Andreas. Andreas is a
Okay.
good guy. We just give him a hard time, and we did it completely publicly, and he's on board with it. So don't think we're calling him out negatively. That's part of being part of the Ham Fam. We get to pick on you.
Right.
So Jim just showed you how to connect your Yaesu radio to your Pi Star hotspot to get into 55295, the Toad's room. So that leaves us with D-Star. D-Star, we did a 2.5-hour live stream on how to do it wrong, and then I did like a 5-minute YouTube video on how to do it right using David Capello's setup. It's exactly the same as David Capello's setup. We're still working on getting some DNS names and server names and stuff figured out, but I'm currently using it on my 705 to talk over D-Star to the Toads group, and it's XRF 546 Alpha.
Correct.
So I can't show you how to do that because I don't have Pi Star set up, but if Jim wants to share out his D-Star Pi Star,
we can
do that.
But right now we're going to have to look at my Unix screen.
All right, let's look at your Unix screen.
Because that's what I have out. So this is just the log, and this is what I'm looking at. This is on our cloud server that's running on DigitalOcean. And so you can see there, this is all the kind of traffic coming out of this log.
It's on now, Gordon.
Oh, yeah. Gordon, you're next, man. And then if you look, there's software here, YSF to DMR. And this is the piece that does, let's guess, YSF to DMR. It is.
There's Joe Brett.
This has been one of the pickiest pieces of software to run. I found out after we started this is a little bit of a long story. I'm going to give you the very, very, very abbreviated version. The software XLXD actually will create a YSF room, and it creates it automatically, and it calls it whatever your XLX number is. So ours is 546. That's the name. Can't pick a different one. The way I learned to do a fusion reflector, a YSF reflector, was with the software YSF Reflector. It generates your number based on the name you give it. So Toad US, Toad Digital, whatever I've called it, worked out to be 55295. But there were some iterations, and every time I had to rebuild it, or I messed up and wanted to start over, it changed the dang room name. I mean, the spaces make it change the room name. It was a giant pain in the butt, and it still is. What's a real pain in the butt is that the XLX software itself can run its own YSF reflector, and then I wouldn't need YSF to DMR. But then that's going to change the YSF room number again. and I just have been avoiding that. And I may do it down the road at some time. I don't know. This is like juggling chainsaws, riding a unicycle while someone's throwing Molotov cocktails at you. It's a lot of moving parts, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. So
It is, but it's fun.
Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So real quick, while you're waxing philosophical over there, Cape Cod CNC wants to know: can techs run this? Absolutely, technician class
Yes.
U.S. license holders can run this. This is all 2 meter, 70 centimeter, or not even on a radio. You do need to have a license, though, if you're using a not on a radio version, because the other side of your communication may go out over the airwaves, at which point you need to be aware of all of the ins and outs of going out over the airwaves. So as an example, I used my Baofeng UV5R to talk to my Shari Pi-Hat All-Star node to connect to Hayden's repeater in Tasmania to talk to him on 6 meters while he's driving in his car, not on his car. So like there's all kinds of amazing stuff that you can do with all of these things. It's just not easy.
And this is part of the configuration. I'm just kind of going through a few directories here of files that you have to mess with. So this is part of making the D-Star piece work and the DMR piece work and the Fusion piece work. And we have to edit PHP. We have just data files here that I have to manually download and update from their various sources. Because we're interlinking 2 completely different computers with Brandmeister, we had to figure out how to do the interlink stuff, which made both of us kind of crazy the other day. It took us a hot minute to figure that part out.
Yeah. Because it wasn't documented.
It not documented. Or if it is, it's hidden. It's hidden. Here's the standalone YSF reflector. Let me pull up I'm in a different folder. I'll change to that in a second. That's the log file. Here's the YSF to DMR folder here. This is just the local log from where I was testing something earlier. But there's about, literally, I'm not making this up, probably 20 or 30 different configuration files to mess with. And there may be better ways to do this, and I'm sure, wrong mode, whoever you are. I'm sure somebody's probably going to watch this in the future and say, man, why did you do it that way? That was the hard way. Let me turn off this junk. So anyway, it's been a learning process, and Steve and I have both beat on this 3 or 4 times, and I've picked Dennis Mahato, AD60M. I've picked his brain for some of this too. Dennis wrote up a wonderful guide, but it missed a whole lot of pieces, and maybe it was stuff Dennis had outside input on that wasn't in the guide. I don't know, but I got started with Dennis's guide, and then it's branched out from there a whole bunch. If you look at Reflector, so that's the this is one of the more simple configuration files here. Yes, that one is exactly right. I lost audio. Steve, I don't hear you at all.
That's because I'm muted. Cape Cod CNC is asking why there isn't one standard for this, and XKCD has answered this for us. There are 14 competing standards. Ridiculous. We need to develop one universal standard that covers everyone's use case. Situation. There are 15 competing standards. This is why there's not one, because nobody can agree.
Right.
Back to you, Jim.
I'm sorry. And if you started talking, I never even heard you. I was just rattling muted on and okay. This is the configuration file for the YSF piece. This is probably the simplest configuration file, honestly. Then they get worse from here. So we're really,
and one of these has a password in it, so we're not going to show you that one.
That's the DMR to INI one. I'm not going to show that one because then I'd have to change that, and it's a cool password, man. But anyway, this is running on our Raspberry Pi instance on DigitalOcean. In talking to Dennis, I was on Dennis's podcast last week. Let me name drop a little bit on Hamdom Thoughts. And we were chatting about this after the podcast part. And he said he ended up running all this stuff locally on one Raspberry Pi. Now he did move it to someone else's locale, but it's still all on a Raspberry Pi. But he said he rented at his house for a long time. He just wanted it someplace where it had better uptime.
Mhm.
So we may end up collapsing it all back to here. So anyway.
All right, so we've got about 30 minutes left in the show. So if you guys wanted to key up your radios and get configured and do some mic checks, we can certainly do that for you. I'm going to have my DMR radio going, and I'll
I'm
be
gonna get
looking
on
at my
I'm gonna get on
D-Star
Fusion.
radio. KM9G on DMR. KM9G on DMR.
It's not working.
It's
I'm
not
hearing-
working.
Nope, not hearing you. Not hearing you at all, buddy.
2157. Well, call log, last call.
K5YVY DMR.
See, Joe Brett heard me.
My DMR radio's
K5 YVY from KM9G.
Yeah, but the transcode is not working.
So he was on DMR.
And you were on what? DMR?
Yep.
You're in a silo by yourself. Because
Hopefully.
you did not come in on Fusion at all.
Steve, I heard you the first time, but I did not hear you the second time. K5YVY.
Yeah, see, the transcode's not
Turn your ears on, Big Joe.
Yeah, I heard you that time.
You come up as Joseph on my DMR code plug. How quaint.
I was about to say something about it showing up as Joseph. I really was. I was just talking to my girlfriend about it. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it. KO4 OBR.
I could tell by the snark that was Richard. So Brad's saying that he's trying to join the D-Star XRF. Just if you go to the very first part of the dropdown, it says text entry. Just type it in.
Oh, no, that's going to be the problem that I told you about before the show. He can't. He's
Okay.
going to have to edit his DXtra hosts in his PyStar.
Oh.
That also may be part of the weird. Well, no, that's different. But yes, it's not in the official list, so it's not in PyStar at the moment. It's been
Right.
rotated out. That's another glitch. I have it hard coded here, and if you
So
hard
he can't
coded
type it
your,
in?
no, because it's got to equate that with an IP address, and you have to do
Oh.
that in the DXtra host file.
I
Which I
guess we
can
did
tell you
that
how
a
to
while
do
back.
that. We can do that online if you want to. I can show you in a PyStar, but it requires editing a file.
Okay, go for it. We got time.
Okay. All right.
Or he's going to get his screen set up for that.
Yep.
Roger that. Let's do it. Brad gets it.
And I feel really bad, guys, because we have really been trying on this thing, and it's 17 kinds of sketchy.
And we're going to have to reconfigure it again after the week
This
is out.
weekend. Yeah. All right,
But it's
so,
fun to share the progress with you guys anyway, just to share the pain so that you know that it's not just us goofing off and not paying attention or anything.
So,
You
and and being a ham is experimenting. You know?
I really wish that, you know how like John Deere is green and Kubota is orange and Massey Ferguson is red. And, you know, we should do that. That way you can have your PyStars colored for Yaesu, and Yaesu can't make up its mind if it's red or blue, and ICOM. And
Oh, but see, what you can't see on the tab is that, first of all, I like blue. And second of all, the
do.
tab actually, the names of my PyStars are Fusion, DMR, and D-Star. So I see Fusion. I know it's Fusion because I type fusion.local. Oh, and before we go on to this, I do want to talk about one thing. I was talking to someone in the Discord earlier today. Jeff, not N4POD, a different Jeff. I cannot remember Jeff's call sign. K3JRZ, there he is. And he was saying that his Raspberry Pi keeps changing IP addresses on him all the time. Yes, that's right, you. I see you, mister. So And he was trying to edit his network config files on his Pi-Star to fix that so that his Pi came up with the same IP address every time. I don't recommend that unless you really know what you're doing in the Unix command line, because you are fooling around with a lot of stuff, and it's going to be, there's just a whole lot of little things that, and I'm not trying to dissuade you from learning. I'm just telling you, make sure you have a good backup of your Pi-Star, because you're going to honk it sooner or later with no network or something else, and then it ain't going to work. So don't recommend. But Jeff was saying that his Raspberry Pi keeps changing IP addresses. That doesn't matter. Even though it changes IP addresses, by default, the Pi-Star software comes up and it will be named pi-star.local. So that's all you have to type into your web browser is pi-star.local. And it should take you to your Pi-Star once you have it configured on the network. And if you have it on DHCP, it'll work fine, even if it changes addresses. Now, what I've done for mine, and it's in the config file, and I'll show you here in a second, I've renamed all my Pi-Stars. So my Fusion Pi-Star is called Fusion, DMR is called DMR, D-Star is called D-Star. And I don't care what their IP addresses are. I just type dstar.local in my web browser, and it goes to it. And it will do it for you as well, whether you're on Windows or Mac, and it should work on Linux as well that way. And Joe Brett just put it up in the chat. Yeah, Ape, it should. It's using MDNS, and I believe Linux finally has MDNS installed by default on most current distributions. I believe. So to change your Pi-Star's name, let me log in here real quick. Pi-Star, my secret password. To change your Pi-Star's name, you're going to go to configuration.
I'm not goofing off.
And then you're going to go down here to general config, and there's your name. So just change it to whatever you want. If you want to call it Thelma and Louise, I'm not judging you.
Huckleberry.
It could be your Huckleberry. Like I said, I named mine differently. And of course, I have 3 of them. They all came up and wanted to be pi-star.local, which is no bueno. So I renamed them. And I don't know off the top of my head what my IP address is. Don't care, because the computer will figure it out, because it's using some stuff, network stuff in the background that will resolve this. So don't sweat changing your IP address. I really don't recommend messing with that unless you really know what you're doing. If you just set on changing your IP address, go do it in your router and do what's called an IP reservation. Look under your DHCP settings in your router, and you need to know the MAC address of your Raspberry Pi, and you can probably see it in your router.
Address stuff.
And do a reservation on it. It gets complicated, and I don't want to go on about that. So anyway, so right now the D-Star is acting stupid. D-Star works, but because our website is not something, the official keeper of the D-Star reflectors has dropped us. We're still here, but he doesn't believe we're here, so he's not sending that information out to the Pi-Star people, which is how every one of your Pi-Stars, every one of them, knows where XRF 546 is. So to change that, you've got to edit a file. And you're going to go to Expert. And I think, can we do it in here? See, I would do this from the command line. Yeah, we're going to do it from the command line. Yeah, okay. So you're going to go to configuration, you're going to go to expert, you're going to go to SSH access. You're going to log in with your Pi-Star user ID and password. If you haven't changed it, it's Raspberry. If you have changed it, it's secret. And now you're in the command line. Pay close attention here, kiddos. Right now, it says RO in parentheses there. That means that the file system is set to read only, so it won't let me save any new information. So the command to change that is RPI-RW. Hit it, and now you'll notice that it says RW, read write. So we can do that. And now we want to sudo nano /root/ I think it's D.
Nope. Lowercase d.
Is it lowercase d?
I don't know. That's where it started complaining, was when you put the big D on it.
Yeah,
Nope, I don't like the little d either.
All right. Hang on. I don't know why I didn't. I guess it was because I was doing sudo.
Yeah, well, yeah, your personal user couldn't see into root's home directory. That makes sense.
That makes sense. Right. Okay. So this is the command you're going to do: sudo /root /dex tra_hosts.txt. Oops. And this is case sensitive. And I need to give you the whole command. Sudo nano /root /dextrahost.txt. That is the exact command you need to type. All right. So you're going to hit enter. It may or may not ask you your Pi-Star admin password, because I had already changed to root and back. It didn't ask me this time. It says it's unwritable. Can you not force a write? I think you can. You need to put this line in your dextra file, just exactly like that.
Glenn is a very sensitive case. That's correct.
Right.
So that IP address is the current IP address of the Toads D-Star reflector.
That is our D-Star reflector. Mm-hmm.
And
That
soon
IP
we'll have a
address.
DNS name for it.
Actually, we do. I haven't tried to see if that would work, because that would be like a CNAME option, but you could try it.
Yeah.
We do have a name. It's xrf546a.toads.site. So that will let you put xrf546 in your host file. So when you type that in and you're saving this, you're going to have to write this out. So you're going to hit Control O. It's going to ask you the file name to write. See,
And it's okay. You're just going through first contact.
Yeah. See, it won't let me save it, Steve. With the nano, with the sudo.
Because
command,
you're in RO mode.
Oh, it changed.
When you
back
switched over
again.
to root, it changed back.
I didn't even notice that.
See, no complaints.
No complaints. I didn't notice that.
So your prompt will change with RO for read only or RW for read write, and that's how you would know that. Also, you can't write because it's read only. So that's another clue.
And then we're going to delete all that.
So while you're typing all that in, Cape Cod CNC's asking how to do this, how to run Pi-Star without a Pi. Pi-Star runs on an Orange Pi device, if you can find one of those. And what else does it run on? I had it up a second ago.
I'm so used to using VI. I'm so used to using VI.
Pi-Star.uk, hit the downloads link on the side, download Pi-Star. It runs on a NanoPi Air. It runs on a NanoPi. It runs on an Odroid XU4. It runs on an Orange Pi Zero, and then it runs on all flavors of Raspberry Pis.
Yeah, it does not run on RockPi, by the way.
Yeah, because you just tried that.
Yeah,
Christian Claiborne's asking, what OS is this? This is Raspberry Pi OS, but it's specially configured to be a Pi-Star device only. And you can work your witchcraft and do all kinds of stuff if you want, but I would recommend you just get one of these for each one of your modes that you're interested in and run it as a Pi-Star only.
Right. So again, you're going to have to do the RPI-RW. When I changed to root and back to look up the name of this file, it undid it. It let me rewrite that, Steve. So
Okay,
I'm going to do sudo reboot, and that's going to reboot my Pi. And we'll find out if this is going to work in a minute.
So we heard Richard and we heard Joe Brett on the Toads Reflector.
Yes, on
And then
DMR.
they started talking to each other.
But see, they're not cross-connected, and I don't know why.
I don't know why. KM9G on D-Star.
I have everything turned off here.
Yes, an array of inexpensive Pi stars. They're actually quite expensive now.
Right.
I'm surprised they don't have a Raspberry Pi that plugs directly into a USB port for power. That would be neat.
Do the 4s, they might do PoE. And I think you can plug the Raspberry Pi into a USB port for power. Maybe
You
not
can,
a 4,
but it's
not a 4.
It's just not designed for that. You have to have a very special powered USB hub in order to power a Raspberry Pi 4 because it takes some
Right.
juice.
So there we go. Back up. So that appears to have worked because it linked. And I see Joe Brett trying to key up.
Yeah, I'm trying to key up too.
KN4YCD, K5YVY.
To the 7300, but we'll give
He's
it a
still
try.
talking.
3908.
Yeah, see, it's not. I don't have my DMR
Yes,
on.
sir. 10 watts. Sounds like a challenge.
Okay, so D-Star is kind of working, but I saw Richard's call sign in there.
Glenn just went through D-Star. KM9G on Toad's Reflector, DMR. And then I just came through on D-Star. But no audio.
Oh, you know what? I was trying to reset this. Let's see.
K5YVY from KM9G. K5YVY, you out there?
It isn't going to work right now, Steve. Hang on one second.
Oh, what are you doing?
Yeah, Steve, I'm here. Trying to work 80 meters and listening to you on YouTube and DMR. Go ahead.
Well, y'all are
DMR
on
to
DMR, so yeah, that's fine. I just had to restart the daemon.
The daemon. So Jim's restarting the D-Star cross mode daemon. That's why my cross mode's not working. But I'm on DMR. You're on DMR. We're all DMR happy here.
Were you keyed up on that?
That's right. Yep, DMR is the name of the game. I have the hardest time getting this thing out of terminal mode, but I'll go back to it. I don't think the 80 meters is going to work, Richard, if you're still listening.
And Jeff's still trying to correct us to
Yeah,
say
I'm still on
daemon.
here. You got another spot in the band? You want me to go up high or down low?
They're trying to have a sked on 80 meters. KN6 KFR.
Let me put the 7300 into emergency mode. Right. Be 50 watts then.
Emergency
Brett's so
mode.
fancy. See, we're still not getting D-Star because I'm not. Occasionally, I see them key up on my D-Star radio, but it's not. Let me try and chunk this, maybe. I don't know. That worked.
Abe wants to know what antenna you're using.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of packet loss.
Hey, Joe Brett. Abe wants to know what antenna you're using. He says you sound real good. That's really annoying that it announces.
I would make
calls
that
all the
thing
time.
stop talking. Holy crap. Can you turn that off?
I don't know.
Mrs.
He
Perry
didn't hear
would,
me anyway.
Mrs. Perry would throw that at me.
Yeah, there's no like turn off announcements.
Because that's your 705 doing that, right?
Yeah, it's a 705. K5YVY from KM9G. I'm not hearing you anymore. Are you busy talking on 80 meters? That's not allowed.
Now, what are you talking on right now?
DMR.
See, I
But I'm
didn't
not
hear
getting
you.
any audio through the gateway.
I'm not hearing you. I heard Joe Brett loud and clear.
Was he talking about how good you sounded on 80 meters, or was he talking about how good you sounded on the DMR?
Now, that time you came through loud and clear, too.
I hope not DMR. I hope it was on 80 meters. I don't know how to make yourself sound good on DMR.
You gotta buy an American radio, Joe.
No matter where you're at,
N8WCR, that's your boy Ron.
That's Ron. I heard you loud and clear, Ron.
Hey, Ron, this is not running Windows. What are you doing here?
And see, sometimes it's showing up. The D-Star transcode is happening, but it's not very good. You can see all that packet loss. I'm not sure what that's about.
Only if I share your screen out. Let's see. Yeah, 98%. Jeez.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I'm running Linux here.
See, so that tells me, you know what this may be? This may be someone needs to play with his RX offset.
Meaning you. Well,
Me.
you're not even on RF.
No, my radio. Well, that's true. That's not me. Never mind. You're right. See, I thought it must have been me, but I was mistaken. It's not me. So if that's yeah. See, I wonder if anybody else has a see, the thing about this, guys,
Ask them.
so there's a whole lot of pieces, not just with the transcoding thing, the fancy stuff in the cloud, but like I have a D-Star hotspot that I'm connected to with my D74. Steve is connected through terminal mode. Yeah, go ahead and key up on terminal mode, Steve. And then if he was using a hotspot, we'd have that to
Mike 9
look.
Golf keying up on terminal mode. D-Star. 98% loss.
98% loss. So that's probably, I'm going to guess, my Raspberry Pi is not doing a good transcode. Now there's Glenn. Glenn, go ahead and key up and say something very clever and Australian-like. It's not my internet because I'm streaming on the same internet. We're not having that problem, but
Abe was talking DMR. I was right. I got the joke.
right.
Joe Brett's slow. No mention about that thin blue line thing going on there.
So what did you have to do there, Joe Brett? You had to put your K300 into emergency mode so that way it has a wider tuner?
Yeah, so I just saw Richard blow through on DMR loud and
Yeah,
clear.
Richard, it turns it to a 10 to 1 tuner, but it limits the power to 50 watts.
But I'm not getting anything on Fusion.
Hey, I can't argue with that. That's a pretty good feature.
Feature.
I've got this big old fancy FCDX 3000. It doesn't have something like that. I like that.
KM9G. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything. Is it the D-Star Reflector? The server?
It may be. I mean, I see Joe Brett keying up on it.
KM9G. I got too many fingers going on in too many different directions. I can't do it, Joe. I can't do it.
See, I see you keying up. So this tells me it's the Ambi app on the Pi Star here. That's not.
You want to restart it?
It's not cooking. Well, I can, but I mean, I did already.
Radio.
Didn't really change a whole lot. Let's see. Key up again, Steve, on your D-Star.
Keying up on D-Star. That didn't work.
Ah. No suitable channel available.
Keying up on D-Star. Keying up on D-Star.
That time it worked perfectly fine.
I got a little bit of audio.
I haven't touched anything. You also notice we have 0% loss.
It's really weird talking to yourself on why is it not focusing on the radio?
KN4YCD on Fusion testing to DMR and D-Star. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Too many moving pieces.
There's a lot of them, and I'm trying to jiggle like 6 web browser windows and 2 terminal windows and 3 radios and KN4YCD test. Oh, I think my
Kilo Delta 9, Papa Mike Lima. YSF.
well, now I heard
Kilo
you.
Delta 9 Papa Mike Levo YSF. Heard ya. I got him.
I think I got him on Fusion too.
Hey Glenn, DMR right now. You sounded good on DMR.
KN4YCD on Fusion testing, crossing over to D-Star and DMR.
I got you on DMR audio. I got you on D-Star ID, no audio.
That's the D-Star issue. So yeah, there's 2 or 3 things we're fighting. Because now, if you'll notice, it's back to like 98% packet loss all the time. So let me restart the thing. I've killed this thing once and restarted it, but
Holy Damon, are you Anthony?
rebooting. Yeah.
Oh, look at you. Look at you, Mr. Fancy Pants, 2 call signs, 2 regions. I heard you. Okay, awesome. I did see you come across DMR earlier, Anthony. Yeah, so we're just... Yeah.
Is he talking? Glenn, are you on a D-Star radio? I just rebooted the Ambi thing, and I'm hearing him on D-Star as well.
Glenn's got 2 different call signs, 2 different radios. But it looks like he's got 2 different DMR radios.
Well, I shouldn't be able to hear him because I rebooted this thing. That's weird. That's real weird.
DMR, he says. How does the RF from the HT get to the internet? So that is where you get the hotspot. Let me pull up a picture of a hotspot while Jim's doing whatever it is he's doing over there.
Oh my Lord.
All right, so there is the Ars Inc. MMDVM hotspot. This comes with a Raspberry Pi Zero and a case and an antenna and an OLED screen and a bunch of cables, and it's gone through all the QA. And there is a link in the chat for it right now. This is a good way to get you all set up. I went through the process of ordering a bunch of MMDVM hats off of eBay and putting them on my own Pis, and that didn't go so well. I've got a video on my channel about cutting solder traces on the MMDVM hat because the quality control was pretty low. These guys do all of the quality control for you. You're guaranteed to get a working unit, and by guaranteed, it's like any other guaranteed, or you can send it back and they'll send you another one. But it goes through Amazon fulfillment, so you can actually send it back and get another one. It is currently $170, and that's because of Raspberry Pi prices.
Yeah.
And more so of availability. The Pi Zero is only supposed to be $10, but since you can't get them, they got to go a little bit higher. And
So-
everybody's got some stories about bad Pi hats, like
Yeah.
Glenn. So
Well,
we
so
went through a
that
ton of them.
particular one that Steve is showing there, I actually have one in my hands and recorded video on it that is in the to edit and produce queue, and it'll be coming out this week on that specific Raspberry Pi. And spoiler alert, it don't suck. It works fine. And I've said this before on multiple places. All these things, whether they're running on a Pi, and that's on a Pi Zero 2W board, which is just as fast as a 3B.
Oh, even better. Even better. Okay.
Yeah, that's not on a Zero. That's a Zero 2W board. So that thing runs great. It was perfect out of the box. It comes with an SD card. It comes with a, and even though it's what is it, $170?
Yeah.
It comes with a micro USB to Ethernet dongle. So you can plug it in your wired router port if you want to, instead of doing wireless with it. It has that little right angle SMA adapter with for your antenna. So if you want to stand that thing up on end, you can. And there's a way in Pi-Star to rotate that screen so it can be vertical or horizontal the other way. And you can get RSync also makes the hats, and they also make another dongle, which
doesn't require a Pi,
which is right here. Which there's also a video coming out on over the weekend. See, there it is, right there.
It looks better over your black shirt,
right? So this will let you work with a Pi hat and your computer and Blue DV. And I have a video coming out on that within the next week or so. Ooh, look, my eye.
Yeah.
So there's RSync has some decent gear. I have no complaints about it. Now, full disclosure, they sent it to me for review, but it's not junk. Because if it was, I would tell you it's junk. Don't buy it.
And notice the order of operations. I recommended it first, and then Jim told you about the review that he got. So totally unsolicited opinion.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know Steve knew that, but yeah, those aces.
So
they work great.
With that, we have reached the end of our time together tonight. I'm so sorry to have to leave you all, but next Monday we will be back again with some new and exciting, I don't know what yet, because I'm going to be at the Youth on the Air camp at the Voice of America Museum, and I'm going to try and do something museum related. I don't know what it is yet, and if that doesn't work, we'll bring you something else. Thank you all for being awesome. We will see you next Monday on Ham Nuggets, where we do something
fun,
live,
entertaining.
Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome. See you guys.